Look into a dog's eyes for a few seconds, and you may suddenly wonder something strange. Is there actually a mind behind those eyes? Is your dog simply reacting to the world, or is it thinking about you? When your dog waits near the door before you come home, when a cat remembers exactly where you keep its food, or when a horse becomes nervous before something happens around it, it raises a fascinating question. Do animals actually think like humans? For a long time, humans treated animals as simple creatures driven almost entirely by instinct. Eat, sleep, reproduce, survive. But modern animal behavior research has completely changed the way we understand other species. Animals don't think exactly like us, but that doesn't mean they don't think. In fact, many animals can learn, remember, solve problems, make decisions, recognize individuals, communicate, and even change their behavior based on previous experiences. The biggest difference is that their minds may be designed around a different kind of intelligence. Imagine a dog watching its owner pick up car keys. The owner hasn't said anything, but the dog suddenly becomes excited. Why? Because the dog has learned an association. Keys, shoes, door, car, and then you leave. The dog's brain has connected those events through experience. That's a basic form of learning, but it reveals something important. The animal isn't simply reacting randomly. It's using information from the past to predict what might happen next. And prediction is one of the most important functions of a brain. Dogs can also recognize familiar human voices, faces, routines, and emotional cues. They can notice when their owner sounds happy, angry, stressed, or excited. Sometimes they even change their behavior depending on the emotional state of the person around them. This brings us to something even more fascinating. Do animals understand our emotions? They may not understand emotions using human language, but many animals are extremely sensitive to emotional signals. Dogs can pay attention to facial expressions, body posture, tone of voice, and even changes in human behavior. A dog doesn't need you to say, "I'm sad." It may notice that your voice is quieter. You're moving differently. You're sitting still. And suddenly, the dog comes closer. Is it feeling empathy exactly the way a human does? Science is still investigating questions like this. But what we do know is that animals can respond to the emotional states of other individuals. And dogs aren't the only example. Consider horses. A horse is a prey animal. Its survival depends on detecting changes in its environment. A sudden movement, an unfamiliar sound, a change in body language, a possible threat. Because of this, horses are highly sensitive to signals from the people around them. A nervous person may behave differently around a horse than a calm person. The horse can detect subtle changes in posture, movement, and behavior. This creates a fascinating psychological relationship between humans and horses. The horse is reading the human, and the human is reading the horse. Two different brains, communicating without words. But perhaps one of the strongest examples of animal intelligence comes from chimpanzees. Chimpanzees can use tools. They can solve problems. They can learn from observation. They can remember social relationships. And they can adjust their behavior depending on who they're interacting with. This is extremely important because intelligence isn't just about knowing facts. It's about adapting behavior when circumstances change. And animals can do this remarkably well. Now, think about elephants. Elephants have extraordinary memories. They can recognize individuals and maintain long-term social relationships. They communicate using sounds, body movements, and low-frequency signals that can travel long distances. Their social lives are complex. They form family groups. They cooperate. They protect vulnerable members. And when something threatens the group, their behavior can change dramatically. This raises another enormous question. Do animals have emotions? We know animals show behaviors consistent with emotional states such as fear, excitement, aggression, attachment, and distress. But we have to be careful. We can't simply assume that an animal experiences every emotion exactly as a human does. A dog's happiness may not be identical to human happiness. An elephant's grief-like behavior may not be identical to human grief. Their brains are different. Their environments are different. Their evolutionary histories are different. But different doesn't mean non-existent. This is where humans often make a mistake. We assume that if an animal doesn't think like us, it isn't thinking at all. That's like saying a person who doesn't speak your language has nothing to say. Animal intelligence may simply be expressed differently. A bird doesn't need to write an essay to demonstrate intelligence. A crow can solve a problem. A dolphin can learn complex behaviors. An octopus can explore its environment and solve puzzles. A dog can remember a routine. A horse can learn signals. Different minds, different forms of intelligence. And perhaps the most fascinating question is whether animals think about the past and future. Some animals clearly remember previous experiences. A dog may avoid a place where it previously experienced something frightening. An animal may remember where food was found. Some species can also prepare for future situations. But human beings possess an especially developed ability to imagine distant possibilities. We don't simply remember yesterday. We can imagine next year. We can create fictional worlds. We can worry about events that haven't happened. We can ask what our existence means. That's one reason human consciousness appears so unusual. We don't simply experience the world. We can think about our experience of the world. But even here, science is discovering that the boundary between humans and animals isn't as simple as we once believed. Some animals appear capable of recognizing themselves. Some can understand quantities. Some can use tools. Some can learn symbolic communication. Some can remember individuals for years. And some form relationships that last for decades. So perhaps the better question isn't, do animals think like humans? Maybe the better question is, what does thinking look like when you're not human? Imagine seeing the world through the mind of a dog. Its reality may be dominated by smell. A simple walk for you could be an enormous information map for the dog. Every tree, person, animal, and location carries chemical information. The dog isn't simply walking. It's reading a world you barely notice. Now imagine being a horse. Your attention is constantly scanning movement, sound, posture, and potential danger. Or imagine being an elephant, living inside a complex social network where individual relationships matter for years. Their worlds are different from ours, and their minds evolved to survive within those worlds. Perhaps that's the biggest lesson. Intelligence isn't one single thing. Humans are incredibly good at language, abstract reasoning, technology, and long-term planning. But other animals possess abilities humans can barely imagine. A bird can navigate enormous distances. A dog can detect scents that humans cannot perceive. A bat can navigate using sound. An elephant can communicate across distances. A horse can react to subtle environmental changes. The animal kingdom isn't filled with empty minds. It's filled with different minds. And the next time your dog looks at you, don't assume there's nothing happening behind those eyes. Maybe it isn't thinking. What is the meaning of life? Maybe it's thinking something much simpler. Where's my human going? Is something wrong? Are we going outside? Can I trust this person? And perhaps that's enough to remind us of something extraordinary. We're not the only creatures experiencing the world. We're simply one species experiencing it in our own way. So, do animals think like humans? Not exactly, but they learn, they remember, they choose, they communicate, they adapt, they form relationships. And in many cases, they experience a world far richer than humans once imagined. Maybe the real mystery isn't whether animals have minds. The real mystery is how many different kinds of minds are sharing the same planet with us, and how little we still understand about them.